Well, hello, and welcome to my garden. Today we're going to be talking about this lovely lady, and her name is Pilea cardierei. Alright, that's Pilea cardierei, also known as the aluminium plant. Aluminium plant. And in American English, it would be known as the aluminum plant. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the aluminum plant. Growth, care, culture, and I'm also going to show you how to take some cuttings. And I've got some cuttings that I've already rooted. I've got some cuttings that I've already potted up. And we're going to take some cuttings together so I can show you the entire process from start to finish, and then also how to care for it. Okay? Brilliant houseplant. Stunning houseplant. Okay, let me put that down. You've seen me. This plant is, it's got a bit of sentimental value to me because, I don't know, prom night, right? Matric ball, if you're in South Africa. I had like a nice hot steam bath with essential oils and everything before I went to my matric ball. And, yeah, no, just my parents had like this wall of plants in the bathroom and in the boys' bathroom, like our bathroom, that we would use, and you know, it was just completely full. They were cascading over the edge, and there were spathiphyllums in there, and it was just a lovely steam bath. I remember that very clearly, and that was like 20 or more years ago. Okay, so let's get into who this plant is, how to care for it, and yada yada yada. Okay, cool, let's go. So Pilea cardierei, or the aluminium plant, is native to China and also Vietnam. It is a tropical species. Okay, there's one up here. Both of these actually grow in my house. The one on the floor actually grows in the bathroom, which gets late afternoon light from the west. And then this one is in a north-facing window, which in the southern hemisphere, the northern aspect is the hottest. If you're living in in the southern hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, the southern aspect would be the hottest. So yeah. So and you can see that when summer arrived, this one got late afternoon sun, and it actually burnt the leaf. So that brings me straight to light as a factor of growth. You do not want this plant sitting in full sun. It will burn, okay? It will burn to a crisp. If you have trees or the shadow of trees passing over the plant, and you do live in a comfortable climate where the plant is able to grow outside, then I would suggest you plant it underneath trees, but do not stand it outside in the sun on its own. It will suffer. Okay. Just a very quick morphological aspect of the plant, which I think is really it's noteworthy and interesting, and will come in handy when we do the cuttings for you to remember, not just with this plant but with any other, is the growth habit. Okay, so in this plant, and I'll try and do this for some of the other plants that we talk about in the future as well, you'll see that the two uppermost leaves are opposite to one another. The two leaves below that are also lower but opposite, not only to one another but also opposite to the first two. And so if I kind of look down the line, you almost have got like a clear pathway going down here, because the leaves and down that side as well, and there and there as well. Now the leaf will obviously shift according to the light direction of light, but generally it would kind of look something like, let's just show you something like that, right? You can see that it's kind of like a cross of some sort. Anyways, so that is it's got opposite growth arrangement. The leaves are opposite. The growth arrangement is called opposite. Okay. There's another interesting thing about it, and that is that it's got an intrapetiolar stipule. Now firstly, let's look at what a stipule is. On any plant, this is the definition of a stipule. So you've got the leaf, right, which is this, the photosynthetic organ. and then you've got the stem, which I'm holding between my two fingers. The petiole is the connection between the leaf and the stem, right? There you see it, that I'm holding. So that is a petiole. The stipule would be found here. So on this one, it still has the two stipules. You'll see these two little, kind of like skin, like little peels of skin, right there, okay? And then as the plant ages, the stipules kind of just fall off, exposing that little growth point right there in the leaf axil. Okay, so that is an interpetiolar stipule. Stipules don't, it's just got a very noticeable stipule. A lot of plants do actually produce stipules, and in most cases they don't really serve a purpose anymore. Excuse me, once the leaves have emerged. In other species they definitely do serve a purpose. But I thought I'd just mention that because they are quite apparent on the species. Right. Okay, so we have done light. Okay, now let's talk about watering. So if I put this one back up here and we bring this one back over here, you'll see that this one here is nice and damp. Okay, soil is nice and damp because I've watered it. This is the one from the bathroom. These little things lying here are begonia seeds. Excuse me. From the plant that was standing next to it in the bathroom. And the one above has got perlite over the top, and you'll notice that the perlite is, if I blow on it, actually quite, ooh, did you see that? It's actually quite dry. So this plant definitely needs some water. It is standing in a tray where it stands at the house, in the house. So that said, when you water this plant, you do want the plant to dry out between waterings, but don't let it completely dry out to the point that it begins to wilt, because then, that's not, it doesn't look very good. But the plant's not going to be in danger unless you've allowed that wilting to go on for too long and the tips and the leaves begin to die off, of course. But it is quite a tough plant. So give it some water. Let it sit in the water for, I'd say, 24 hours, and then just remove the excess water. The plant would have taken up, and the soil would have taken up as much as it needs for the next few days. This is also a plant that you want to turn when we're talking about light. You want to sort of rotate the plant so it doesn't kind of lean over and grow only in one direction. You want to do that with most of your plants as a tip. Right, in terms of... let's go with, we've done light, temperature, right? So, look, the rabbit hole that I went down with respect to the information in this episode on the species sort of said that the plant doesn't tolerate temperatures lower than 15 degrees, which I have found to be donkey wash. That is absolute donkey wash, because I've had it for so many years, and I've had temperatures down to 5 degrees at the most, and the plant is done totally fine. It's not looking great, but it's not dying. It's okay. It's not even in the red. It's just doing okay. But it does prefer higher temperatures, so try and keep it above 10 degrees Celsius. Or even 15 if you can, but it's not going to die if you get down to 10 degrees Celsius, honestly. Also, above 30 degrees, the plant will begin to sort of break into a sweat, if you want to put it that way, but again, it's not going to die. Direct sunlight will definitely make the plant a little toasty and crisp, so that's what you don't want. It's a very, very beautiful plant to have, to grow as a house plant. Then there's humidity. That is something that is non-negotiable with this plant. So, look, again, I've had it probably down to 30%, and it's okay, but that really happens. I mean, it really happens that we have 30% maybe in my hometown. But this here, above 50, above 60, and you're good. The higher the humidity, the better for this plant. Okay, low light and you will never see this plant bloom. Put it outside on the odd occasion like today. It is raining here today, so if I show you, you see the clouds, it's raining, and so I generally put my houseplants outside and allow them to just get some rain, especially if the temperature is okay for that. You don't want to put them outside if it's sort of raining and icy cold. Soil, propagation, and fertilizer we will do in a second when I show you how to take cuttings from this plant and we go into that process. Okay, so let's do that now. This plant, Pilea cardierei, is not to be taken lightly in terms of toxicity. It is mildly toxic, so please be careful if you have kids or pets around the plant when you're not home. It does have a low level toxicity, so please be careful of that. Okay, yeah, I've got my two plants. We're going to take some cuttings together. Now, the best time to obviously take cuttings would be the onset of spring, okay, or your growing season. So if it's your growing season or it has begun, all through the growing season is totally fine, as long as the temperatures are adequate enough for the plant to develop new roots and new leaves and flowers, etc., etc., then you should be good. Even in winter climate you might still get away with it. I've done that in winter and they do totally okay. But if it's too cold, obviously you don't want to subject the plant to that kind of stress, or the cuttings will die. Okay, so how are we going to do this? This plant, I've taken a few cuttings, and look, let it be said that with this plant you actually do want to take cuttings regularly, or cut it back, because you want to pinch the growing tips, right? You want to break off the growing tips so that the plant continually branches and it always has this nice full appearance. Otherwise it just becomes very leggy and unattractive, and it doesn't really fill the pot out very well. Okay, so let's go. I'm just going to be really aggressive and I'm going to go. And you see, okay, so right there's the node, right? Opposite those two leaves, right? In between the two leaves, that's one node. This length here to the next one is an internode. So you want to cut just below one of the nodes, okay? At a very sharp angle with a sharp pair of secateurs or pruning shears. And you cut it off, right? And then I'm going to do another one. In fact, yeah, okay, this one I'm going to leave. I would actually technically cut all of this on the top and allow it just to branch from that stem there. But okay, maybe let's not be so drastic today. Okay. On this one here, definitely, this is a candidate for possibly even two cuttings. So I'm going to go nice and low, and I'm going to cut it right there. Snap. And I'm going to go there. 3, and this weird one that's kind of looping around the bottom here, I'm definitely going to do that one, but I'm going to do it over there. Whoops, over there, right? Snap. Okay, and then this plant here will now have to regrow all of its foliage. I've just kind of left 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. That's okay. She'll be fine. Totally fine. Right, now we've got our cuttings, okay? I'm doing this with one hand, so forgive me if it's a bit shaky, but I'm going to break off the lower leaves, because this will be form part of the root ball of the new plant. Just try and do this with one hand. Okay. Okay, hold on guys, I'm going to come back and do it myself. Okay, you want to break off all the lower leaves and then leave like at least 4 leaves, okay? Right, so now I've made my cuttings, okay, so you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this one here can be 2 cuttings. So what I've done is I've removed the leaves in the middle. You can see there were leaves there, and there were also leaves there and there, and I've removed all of those. Now I've left these 2 leaves because you will see what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just below the next node, okay, like that, and then this one here will form a new cutting because the new growth will emerge from just where the leaf meets the stem at the petiole. Okay, so then I've got a jar of water right there, and I'll just stick them into the jar of water like so. Whoops. And that one in there as well, and then that one in there, and another one in there, and the last one I could actually just root it into soil directly, the last one, because it does have, I see, you'll notice, actually let me just see if I can show you this real quick. You'll notice along the stem there are these little bumps. Do you see those little bumps? Those little bumps signal the development of roots along the stem. There we go. See that? So I could essentially just put that straight into soil, but I'm going to stick it into water because I'm too lazy for that right now. Okay. And you would use the same kind of soil to root it as what we are going to use to plant them. Now, imagine we had a time machine and we sort of sped up to like 5 days, or they're about 5 days. It's about 3 to 5 days, and the plant will actually these little cuttings will now develop new roots. Okay, so the plant, all the roots are in the water. Just make sure that they are all in the water. Okay, and keep the water fresh. It won't have to be in here for very long, because as soon as you see roots, then that'll be good, and you can they'll look like this. So there you can see these plants have been in here for, this has actually been more than 5 days. It's probably about maybe 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks. You can see it's got a substantial amount of roots on these 3 cuttings. Okay, and they're looking good. And now let us prepare some growing medium to pot them up. Okay, so in terms of potting these plants up, this is what you will need to do. In front of me, you will see I've got some compost, okay, regular good potting soil. Below that, I've inserted some perlite to mix in, and even deeper, vermiculite, and then even deeper I've got some perlite and peat at the very bottom. Now, I did use nutrient-rich peat, not the same kind of peat you would use for coniferous plants, okay? So I used nutrient-rich peat, and let's mix this up and see what we get. Okay, so you can see the consistency, what you're actually looking to get for this plant. Okay, once I've mixed it up, this is what you want. You want something that when you squeeze it, okay, it's dry right now, but when you squeeze it, it crumbles apart, but still kind of wants to stay together. So if I added more water to this, it would definitely stay together, but it wouldn't be like super sticky. Okay, you want it to be able to actually fall apart and just be very fluffy. Okay, so in this growing medium I have got, it's a peat-based growing medium, which is what you want for this plant. So whatever mixture you're going to use, you want 60% of it to be peat-based. The rest you can play around with either sand or perlite for drainage, and vermiculite for retaining moisture content, but also aeration. Okay, and then a controlled released fertilizer would be ideal, but you don't need to use this. And then also obviously your potting soil or compost that is in here will provide nutrients along with the nutrient rich peat, right? So yeah, that's it. Let's get potting. I've got 3 little pots, okay? These are like maybe 12 to 15 centimeter pots. How big is this? This is it says over there, 14 centimeter pot. Yeah, 14 centimeters, 14 centimeters, and this one is I think 15 centimeter pot. Okay, great. Now we're going to just scoop up some medium, okay, and throw enough into each pot. Okay, like so, like that, and there, and there. Okay, let's just see how far that is. Maybe one more in the bigger pot. Okay, there. In fact, we can kind of just fill both up. Okay, great. Now, let's give it a good shake just to even it out. And then we're going to take one cutting, just make a hole with my finger, and take one cutting out, like so. Now, you could like try and flare these roots open, or I don't know how you're going to do that, but I'm not going to bother. Literally just going to stick it in down to where the roots stop, and I'm just going to add more, okay, and then I'm going to firm it down. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. Nice hole over there. This one's got some nice roots on it as well. And I'm going to stand them upright. Okay, like that. And in you go. Okay, and then firm it down. So you want to firm a young plant that is new like this down, so that it can actually make contact and stay upright. Okay, last one. We're going to do that one there and there, and just close it for a bit, just so it will stay upright, and just a little bit more because this one is already quite full of medium. Okay, let's pat that down as well. This is a really nice house plant, guys. And then just to do my little thing that I love doing to plants, like, I don't know, I'm a firm believer in this, is I'm going to put some bark over the top, because what this does is it behaves like sheep fur, keeps your plant cool in summer and warm in winter, and it's just nice. You could also do vermiculite on top of these. In my house I generally put vermiculite on them, as you've seen in the Pilea peperomiodes, or some of the other episodes that I've done. And as it breaks down, it also allows it adds nutrients to the plant situation in the pot. Okay, so there you've got 3 little plants, guys. That is Pilea cardierei. Done and dusted. So if I wanted to, now I'm literally just gonna, let's take the water from the glass, and I'll just add that, okay, for the first one. If you really want to fertilize, I would suggest you use look, there is a controlled release fertilizer in this pot, in these pots. You can also use a foliar application, a foliar feed. Always go with like a quarter or a third of the strength of what the recommended dosage is, okay? And a foliar application would be a very good idea for this plant. Always only fertilize during the growing season. because it's pointless doing it outside of that period. Okay, now we're in the hothouse, and I brought them in here just to give them some water. So you'll see that the 3 pots in the back are the ones that have now newly received some water, and they are the plants that we just did the cuttings for, and they look pretty good, even though they've literally been put in like 3 minutes ago. The 2 in the front are some that I did, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that. So the root system is now established. The plant is now fully, if I tug on that, it's fully rooted, and it's taking a hold of the pot, and you can see the new leaves now beginning. Okay, this one, they were standing on the floor, and this one is now on its way to producing the next set of leaves. Okay, and if you look along the side, let's just take that out. There you can see new shoots beginning. Let's just show you that there. See the new shoots beginning there, all along the length of the plant. So yeah, that's that Stanley cat. 5 of them, all done and ready to go. So now you basically just water them every time they need some water once they dry out. Okay, so things to remember for Pilea cardierei are the following. Right, so in terms of just a wrap up, light, bright, indirect light. Direct sunlight would kill the plant, and then too much shade and you'll never see it flower. So give it on the brighter end of the light spectrum, so a bit more light. Don't be afraid, but don't give it direct sunlight. That will harm the plant. In terms of, ooh, there's a fish eagle. I wish my camera was good enough. Sorry, guys. Temperature, to be safe, keep it above 10 degrees Celsius and keep it below 30 degrees Celsius. Outside of those won't harm the plant, but that's just to be safe. Okay. Soil would be peat-based growing medium, so 60% of it should be peat, the rest compost or potting soil, as well as vermiculite and perlite. Okay, and then a controlled release fertilizer to that, and you should be good to go. And then in terms of your watering, give it ample water, allow it to really just soak up the water, and then remove the excess water. If you know plants and you're very comfortable with the plant, then just give it water, and you'll know when enough is enough, right? I mean, if you don't, to be on the safe side, put a tray underneath, give it water, wait till the water comes out the bottom, let it sit overnight. 24 hours is not going to kill it, half a day is not going to kill it, and then remove the excess water and allow the plant to dry over the next couple of days. And yeah, that is light. Temperature, humidity would be on the humid end of the spectrum, and that's it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. Do you see my bananas right there? I'm watching the bananas. It's so distracted. It's ridiculous when I'm around plants. I think the worst thing ever would be like to go to jail, right? And then to never have to be able to garden again. Woo! Okay, bye!